Does each of you have a specific role? Like one person that leads, one person that oversees the details, etc.?
Not really. I mean, I kind of, me personally, I don't really play instruments very well. But one thing that I can do is that I can map out and envision songs structurally in my mind. I just see things, you know, and how they fit in compartments like that. So sometimes I'll kind of like I'll direct it in that way. You just use my ability to go, okay, we should have a chorus here, and then next it should be like this. So that kind of compensates for my lack of guitar abilities or keyboard abilities.
But when do you know when a song is finished?
You kind of don't really. You just
usually
keep
there's
working.
silence at the end of it.
Yeah. You work on them for as long as you can, and you know we would constantly revisit the songs and try and make them better and better, and you know you just kind of get to a point just before you're about to record them, and you probably still don't really know if they're 100%. And even in the studio, things change and they become something different. So you know you never really feel like they're 100% complete. They can always be improved. And it's just that point until it's actually recorded. You just keep improving it until that point.
Conditions was recorded in Melbourne and London. This one in Los Angeles. What are the most important differences between the recording circumstances, so to say?
For me personally, it was just the different producers and the just different personalities that they, you know, brought into the recording process, and they both had very different temperaments, I think.
Can you pinpoint what the difference is in those temperaments?
I mean, to be honest with you, man, I felt pretty tense recording the last album. Like, you know, like just a bit tense, maybe a bit uncomfortable. Whereas this time around, it's just so relaxed, so laid back. I actually got up in the morning and genuinely wanted to go to work. And this is coming from the one guy in the band that probably hates recording the most. Like, I hate it. It feels like work. You know what I mean? So, I don't know about maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a very new experience for me. So, I mean, I recorded a couple of things on Conditions, but obviously being involved fully in the recording process was a new thing to me. So it was all quite new. But as a first-time experience, it was great. And like Dougy said, Tony was amazing to work with. And being out in LA was a really good experience as well. The beautiful weather. And yeah, a lot of fun times just hanging out with everyone and getting work done in a good environment.
And the fact that Tony Hoffer produced the record, is that something we can hear? Is there a certain touch that only he has that comes back on?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of things that he has a lot of synthesizers and that kind of thing, and that was something he really pushed for on the album. You know, we had ideas for things like string arrangements and string sections, and he was like, wow, let's try and do them with synthesizers and that kind of thing. So to me, that's what I really hear as his kind of sonic signature on the album, is the use of synthesizers. And, you know, there was quite a few that we used repeatedly, even for things like running different instruments through the synthesizer. So they kind of left their mark on the album quite a lot.
Because using synthesizers wasn't yet in your head when you wrote the songs in London. That came in.
It was to a certain extent. We got two kind of like new toys, which was a Nord. Just, I guess, sort of a synthesizer, isn't it? Is it a synthesizer?
Yeah.
I don't even know what synthesizer means.
Yeah.
I just like to say synthesizer.
Yeah.
And a Moog. But Tony had like an arsenal of vintage synthesizers that he just seemed to be pulling them like out of the air at certain points. And he was very keen on kind of not resting on the inevitable or the obvious choice. You know, sometimes a song will have like a sweeping moment, and of course, like, it's obvious, let's get a string section and get a cello to play that, which would have sounded awesome as well, but I think he was just wanting to give the record more of a unique sound, and so in doing so, using synthesizers to achieve that, and I truly think that the record does sound quite unique because of that, because of the use of all these different synthesizers.
Has there been a point of discussion within the band whether or not to use those sounds?
Within the band before we started recording?
You know, when he pulled out all the synthesizers, then you have to say, well, are we going to do this?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, of course it wasn't like we just said yes to everything. There were definitely moments where I was like, no, let's just use a guitar, man. Let's just not get too weird on this, you know. And sometimes the things with producers, they're not always right. Sometimes you're right and they're wrong, you know. But it takes someone from outside of the band to push to, I guess, bring a different point of view. You know, otherwise we probably would have never used half of the synthesizer sounds that's on the record if we had have just kind of like done it all ourselves, or had just gotten someone who just said yes to all of our demands. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it takes someone else, an outside person, to push the band in a direction in which they otherwise wouldn't necessarily go to.